Hello, fellow rugby fans. Welcome back to my channel. Now, my name is Ralph, and welcome back to Rugby Fanatic. Now, in today's video, I thought I'd catch up with the weekend rugby, some blockbuster games, especially this game between the Springboks and Italy over the weekend. Now, I just want to talk about them because it was a bizarre performance for the Springbok, and for those who are Springbok supporters, you guys will probably be disappointed with the performance and how it played out. But yeah, I mean, I could tell by, Rassie in the press conference, he was not happy. He wasn't having a bar of it. I think after dismantling the Barbarians, we saw the result for South Africa, dominating with flair, freedom, and that trademark of Boks brutality. I mean, what we saw in the weekend was something entirely different. This wasn't the Springbok, machine we know. And it was an experiment straight from, the lab of Rassie. I mean, the man himself. And let's just say not all scientists, publish successful results. So let's get into it as we go through the player ratings and analysis. So kicking things off, is Ox Nche. Now, Ox was a rock. Again, he's becoming the most reliable scrummager in world rugby. Turned the Italian front row in a mulch, and basically gifted a try for Van der Berg, his first test try. I mean, a penalty machine in the best possible way. But I gave him a rating of 8. And then moving on to the veteran, Malcolm Marx, the hooker, quiet for Marx, which is still, better than most of, hookers on their best days. But did his job in the trenches, one lovely long throw to the tail stood out, 9 tackles. But you'd still, expect more from him in open play. But I gave him a solid rating of 7. And then we had Wilco Low, a proper enforcer, excellent scrum present, and carried with intent. And Italy didn't have answers. Then he was yanked off at the 47th minute. Like, what? Really? Why, Rassie? Why? So, yeah, I didn't quite understand why he was yanked off early. So I gave him a rating of 8. And then we're moving on to Etzebeth. Now, he didn't dominate as usual. I mean, the Italians had clearly circled him in the whiteboard. Double hits every carry, showed a lot of energy, chasing high balls, but lacked his usual aura. So I gave him a rating of 6. And then D Jagger, yes, made 10 tackles, but basically invisible, line out contribution here and there. It happens, but he's earned the benefit of a doubt. So I gave him a 5. And then we had Marco van Staden. I mean, rumbled through contact, clean rucks like a machine, and scored a deserved try. Solid outing, one of the few starters who kept his head up. So I gave him a rating of 7. And then we move on to Vincent Deshiduka. This should have been his fairy tale debut. I mean, the story writes itself. But it wasn't to be. I mean, a disallowed try due to Nche's offside, ruined his moment outside of that, and was just, fine. But the whole back row got dominated at the breakdown, and he shares the blame, unfortunately. So I gave him a rating of 6. But yeah, moving on to Vise. Now, classic Jasper, go forward machine, 8 up meters, bounce defenders. The narrow game plan actually suited him. But again, positive things on the field, but then he got subbed off right when he was, peaking. So I gave him a rating of 8. And then we move on to Van der Berg. Yes, 2 tries. The first was a gift from the pack, and also the second is a nice dummy and finish. But overall, one-dimensional, not his fault. He was playing in, a game plan straight from the 1990s playbook. So I gave him a rating of 6.5. Then we're moving on to Andre Pollard, the veteran. I mean, he hardly touched the ball early, then slowly grew into the game. Still too structured, too safe. But his kicking, icy, no fault there. So I give him a 6.5. Then we had Kirtley. Now, he was electric. Took one touch, one line break, and boom, another Springbok try. I mean, He now has 19 and 25 tests. Then comes a try-saving tackle of the year. I mean, contender around the hour mark, world class, pure. So I'll give him an 8.5. And then we had Damien Delandy. I mean, he won collisions like he always does. But what impressed me was the variety. I mean, some clever touches and kicks, and one grabber led to Creel's try. Another helped spark Vandenberg's quietly influential. So I gave him a 7. And then we got Jesse Creel. Yes, the new skipper got his early try. Smart line onto a grabber and led with a calm and composure. Who would have thought, he'd become, a key figure in the squad. So I give him a solid 7. Then we had Cheslin Colby. I mean, hardly saw the ball when he did, sparks flew, but he was a bystander in a system that didn't, care about width. So I gave him a solid rating of 6. But Damien Willemse, yes, looked sharp, beat defenders, created what should have been a try. Then Nche's offside ruined it. And like Colby, start by the game plan. So I give him a rating of 6. And then moving on to our bomb squad. Mambanombi, 2 line out straight to Italy. That says it all. And I give him a rating of 4. Then we had Whistles, did nothing on, of note. Game died once he came on, so I gave him a rating of 4. And then Vincent Gosh, only subbed who added, anything, but scored a try and showed physicality, so I gave him a rating of 6. And then we had Snyman, one big hit, that's about it. So I gave him a rating of 4. And Moss Stern, quiet, anonymous, momentum gang, gone. So I'll give him a rating of 4. And then Quokka Smith, couldn't fix the breakdown, which was, on fire in the worst way. So I gave him a rating of 4. Faf de Klerk, yes, he controlled things better, but the forwards in front of him just didn't show up. Shocking from the forward pack for South Africa. So I gave him a rating of 5. And last but not least, Willie LaRue, the veteran. One moment to shine, and he delayed a pass that probably cost, Curtly a try. Sadly for the veteran, but it wasn't one to remember. So I give him a rating of 5. Look, Rassie is a genius. I got nothing against Rassie. And to me, in my opinion, he's the best coach in the world. He knows what he's doing. But, even Einstein, had experience blow up in his face. And that second half performance, that was a rugby chemistry lab meltdown. So, when we compare it to against the Barbarians, the Boks played with freedom. They played with aggression and structure. And, now we're seeing a completely different team against Italy. They look like a team stuck in a holding pattern, crippled by rotation and weirdly timed substitution. So there's a lesson learned, and I'm sure that Rassie will learn from his lesson. And you can't just plug and play elite players and expect automatic cohesions, and especially not in the wholesale changes in the earlier the 47th minutes. But that's not strategy, that's sabotage, in my opinion. But the positive, there's still plenty of sparks. There's players like Kurtley, Nche, and also Vise and Marks. They show why they are truly world-class players. But if this was a sneak peek, at Rassie's depth chart, it might be time to start drawing lines, through a few names. And there you have it, rugby fans. What did you make of it? Are we overthinking a mid-season trial? Or is there a cause of concern ahead of the Rugby Championship? So comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Be interesting to hear your guys' opinions. And also comment below what do you think of the game as well. Don't forget to subscribe for more rugby content. Thanks for tuning in. And keep supporting your rugby teams. And keep the rugby spirit alive. And we will see you in the next video.